What's going on, everyone? So today, a couple of you guys wanted to check my motorcycle collection out, and I got one bike to show you guys that I really wish I documented. I built this from the ground up, but we're gonna save that to last. Everyone probably already knows what it is, but
1994 Aprilia, what is it called?
it's an Rsv 1000, and it's not a 94.
That's the bike.
I guess we'll start with that.
He wished he documented.
No, I don't wish I documented this. This is just a fuck around bike that I'm putting a new motor in. I got the motor sitting on a crate over there. This is a 02 Aprilia Rsv 1000. They're kind of fucking ugly, but they got a Rotex 1000cc motor, or close to 1000. And they're apparently torque monsters, so I'm just building it for fun. I got little money into it.
Maybe stunt it.
I'm too old for that shit. Too old to get hurt. That's it. Those days are over, right, Aunt? You gotta take the torch over.
Get another 450 maybe.
You're a swerve boy.
No, 636. Someone needs
Swerve
one.
boy.
636.
No, it's all about the 600 double R.
Really?
600, yeah, 600 double R or the 600R Ninja.
Yeah.
Oh wait, plus that was my favorite bike.
That's what you had, the gold,
Yeah.
right? What? This is going in there.
Big bore kit.
Yeah. Two of them. It'll fit.
Anyways, so yeah, that's an Aprilia 02-ish. I think it's an 02 RSV 1000, but that's nothing exciting. What Aunt is sitting on
This
is a little toy, TRX 70, but it's got an 88 kit and a big valve head and a big ass cam and a high compression piston. Yeah.
This little bike?
Yeah.
Why'd you do that?
I don't know why not. It's a TRX 70. They're cool.
Oh,
I'm gonna put street tires on it. And then this is like the daily rider. When it's nice out, I end up riding this like all the time. It's just super reliable. I built this bike as well. I got it. It's street legal. And I got it with super low miles. I had like 800 original miles on it when I got it. Obviously it was a dirt bike. So I built the Supermoto setup and it was blown up. It was heavily grenaded when I got it. I think somebody tried running it with no oil because it took the crank out. It took, the cylinder was toasted. The head was completely melted. So I ended up getting it dirt cheap with like 800 miles.
And Mike bored it out so much, some days you could see the piston through the head. Like, if you look at it the right way. Yeah.
But I did bore the shit out of it. I went 5 millimeters over bore, which everyone says, no you didn't. Yes, the fuck I did. It brought it from a 246, I want to say. Is that what it was? To a 278. So it is, or no, 288.
Slight more.
78 or 88?
Go 88.
No, it's a 280cc. So yeah, 278cc. I did a cam in it, a mild cam. This is a 2004 header, ported to match the cylinder, port and polished head. 04 or 96 to 04 spec FMF, because they don't sell too many exhausts for these earlier ones. The bike's a 91. But I put it together like 3 years ago and it runs solid. And you just kick it and go. It's never given me a problem. Knock on wood for 3 years. It runs super good. It's just all reliable. That's all it is. The wheels cost 3 times what the bike ended up costing me. But I did it 3 years ago and it still lasts. The speedo works. Like, it's a great bike. And then let's see. We got an ATC 70 I'm building over here. It's got a reinforced and stretched frame. Stretched like 2.5 inches. That's why it's got a big gap there. But we built that to flat track, so we're gonna flat track race that one. Along with my 350X, I started building for flat track. And I got the motor out right now. It's been out for like a year now. And it's got the stock axle set up back on it right now. But it usually has like a longer axle on one side. And I built a high compression engine for it. So the bike's an 85. I stripped it down to bare frame and replaced all the bearings, bushings, modified suspension. It's lowered. You can't really tell right now because it's like that, but you can see on the front. It's lowered, heavier springs, 10-inch front wheel with the flat track front tire, and 10-inch rear wheel, so it's even wheels all the way around with the flat tracks on it. I actually got a new wheel set that goes with the new axle and everything. High compression engine, 12.5 to 1, so it runs half on race fuel, half on 93. That's how I have it set up for now. what else? Port and polished head, cam. That's about it. You know, flat tracker though, and I don't know. Ever since COVID hit, it kind of just been on the back burner ever since, because a lot of tracks got shut down, and that's how it goes. And we got the 14 Grom. I bought that. No, not 14. What year is that? 18. 18 Grom. I bought that brand new. Had 0 miles on it. I think it's got like 3,000 now. And then there's another Grom that we're building in the back behind that. That's a 15 Grom. And taking all apart to powder coat everything, and thinking about building the motor up. But yeah, so those are them. And then I got a little LT50 right there. Oh, and this is like the daily driver of trikes and quads. This thing is old reliable, 85 Big Red, and it just always starts up. It brings me through everything. I go through rivers in this thing and mud pits and everything. It's just it's so reliable. It's a great trike. I fucking love it. I'll never sell it. Drive it right into the ground. And then this is what I wish I actually started my channel with. I built this a couple years ago. I'm gonna see if I have an original picture of it when I bought it. So basically, I seen the writing on the wall. I seen the prices on 500 starting to climb and climb and climb. So I know I needed to pick one up, because I grew up having 500s. I had a bunch of them way back when, and the prices just started skyrocketing on them. So I knew I was gonna buy one, and it was gonna be the last one I buy, so it had to be the perfect year, and it had to be the perfect bike, because I was, perfect platform I should say, because I already had plans to tear it down to bare frame and go all out with it. And that's basically what I did here. I know I'll never sell it. I'm over $10,000 on this bike easy. And people say it's crazy for a dirt bike. Look at the prices of CR500s these days, and you'll understand why I have that much. And that's without even touching the engine. I'm 10 grand into it. And engine's probably another 5 grand, to be honest. So let's start. I bought the bike. I'm gonna look for a picture, and if I can find one, I'm gonna put it up on the screen of what it used to look like. It's not that the bike was a piece of shit, but it was super personalized. So it had like a red swing arm, red wheels, an orange frame, all black plastics, and there's a whole story with this bike too. When I went to pick it up, I ended up getting a pretty good deal for a 500. It was apart. It mostly wasn't together, and there's a huge story behind it. It's crazy, like something out of a movie, just to get this fucking bike. I ended up going to a bike shop, and the owner of the bike shop was like a known like white supremacist. Crazy, something out of a fucking movie. He was kicking people out, saying racial slurs to people in the fucking showroom. He wouldn't give the guy the bike back. We were there for 4 hours trying to get the bike back, and it went in for a tune-up, and 2 years later, the guy was holding like the bike ransom, had to pay a $3,000 bill to get the bike back, because supposedly they rebuilt the whole thing, but it went in for a fucking tune-up. So it was like a big fiasco. Basically, I paid the bill to get the bike out of the shop, and I ended up with the bike. And the biggest thing about this is it has a street title. So as most people probably know, CR500s never came street legal, in this country at least. In Australia they did, but in the US they never came street legal. So people had to go through processes and hoops and whatnot to get a street title on them. This has been titled for a long time. It came out of New York with a New York title. It's now in Connecticut, titled to me, street registered. And it's a 97. It has 94 graphics, but it's 97. Not that that makes too much of a difference, but starting in 91, these CR500s had a wide ratio fourth and fifth gear. So when you're building a street-oriented bike, you want that wide ratio trans. So that was kind of a big deal as well. So I got the bike. It was already supermotoed, but it was just super personalized and kind of, had a lot of nice parts on it, but I needed to start fresh. So we got it back here, tore the bike down to bare frame, had the frame powder coated, OEM Honda white, had the swinger powder coated. It's actually powder coated chrome, and it came out looking like polished aluminum. That was actually the goal. So that is powder coated. What else did I powder coated? obviously the subframe. And there's a couple other little odds and ends I had powder coated. But these wheels are made by Rad Manufacturing, the hubs. Stainless spokes, I should say, with goldish nipples on a 3.5 inch 17 by 3.5 front and a 17 by 5 rear. When I first got the bike, it had a 4.25 in the rear, and I wanted to stuff the biggest rim I could on the back. So it's got a 5-inch rear now. And I bought a CRF 450 front fork setup off of a 2008, I want to say. CRF 450, had it valved to my weight and had it sprung to my weight and supermoto. So same thing with the rear, sent out the shock, had it built for my weight and for a supermoto. It's got like a 6.8 spring on the back, which is the stiffest spring I've ever seen on a dirt bike. But because it's basically only a street bike at this point, it is sprung like a bike for the street. So it doesn't feel like you just threw a set of street tires on this thing and you're hitting the streets with it. It is fully valved and sprung for it. So it feels like more a street-oriented bike. It feels like it belongs there, which is nice. It's stiff. But yeah, so we had the suspension done front and back. I built the wheels myself. I did the suspension myself. Besides the valving, I sent it out for that. I had this seat cover made. Same thing with the trike one. I found a company to recreate these seats. And so the company Seat, which is C-E-E-T, back in the late 80s, early 90s, made a seat cover that looks very similar to this. And they're impossible to find now. So I found a company willing to replicate it, and I sent them. I got the opposite. I got red with white stripes, and then this one's white with red stripes. So I had them make one for each of my machines at the time. And yeah, I fucking love the seat cover. But I had to find a company to make it for me. Pipe setup is a CPI, which is a company out of California. It's a cone pipe, so they handmade it. It's for a big hit on the top end. It's basically like a Dunes pipe. And then the silencer is HGS. It's a company out of, I believe, the Netherlands. And Bud Racing is the only US supplier for them. So I went through them to buy the silencer setup. You can see it's all turning blue. And I got the gold heat wrap, like work style gold heat wrap. So that's basically the chassis on it. And this whole time I was building it, it was sitting on the lift over there. So I said it really would have been a awesome build series. So engine-wise now, we have aluminum radiators, some thick boy aluminum radiators to keep it cool. Engine is just a stock bottom end with a rebuilt stock rod, because you don't want to run like the hot rods in these things. They're fucking junk. So it's got an OEM rebuilt rod in it. I just rebuilt the water pump with all OEM parts. It's got a billet clutch basket, and I just did an EBC clutch and springs in it. It's got a brand new OEM kicker now. It has, let's see, none of the cases were welded or anything, which is a big thing on these. The cases crack. I wanted perfection, so if it's skipped a chain or something and broke the case, I was not interested in the bike. It had to be a perfect factory case set for me to buy a bike. The cylinder is bored right now to 91 millimeters, which is this last bore. So I would like to buy, I'm up in the air. So you can, they're on back order, but you can get a brand new OEM cylinder from Honda. But this cylinder is heavily ported. I don't know by who, but when I took it apart, it had a ton of port work done. And, you know, port and polish, but it was opened up all over the place, and it looked like pretty good work. And there's some signatures on the cylinder. So if I have it sleeved the next time around, I can keep my port work. And we have one of the best sleevers here in Connecticut from what I was told. So I'm going to go check them out, and I might just have it sleeved and go with like a Wasner piston. I've had real good luck with them. That's what I'm running in the XR, German company, European company, for a forged piston. But it's running Boisine reeds. I have a decompression on the head, so it's easier to kick over. I have a couple different compression heads. Right now it's at stock compression. I got a Vertex, I'm running a Vertex piston. And I have the billet exhaust manifold on there. So I have the MSV exhaust manifold on here. And I really want to do their water pump impeller as well soon. So what else? Electronic wise, it is running on a service Honda stator. So it does have a stator to charge a battery. I made my own battery pack out of rechargeables. I found everything that was going to the right battery pack I needed to. So I found the right battery pack I needed to charge with this setup. And I bought a bunch of cells and put it on like an RC car fucking plug on each end. So it plugs in like an RC car, an electric RC car, the batteries in the air box. And I also have a speedometer and an RPM tack right there that all wires together with the battery and the service Honda Gen 3 stator set. I believe it's a Gen 3. Might be a Gen 2, but it still works. So I'm assuming it's Gen 3 if it still works. Stator charges the battery. So I still have to run a couple little wires that I never hooked up the tail light, and I never hooked up the headlight. I'm still in the process of making the headlight. I didn't want to run like an enduro style. I wanted a flat one, and I'm just gonna put some flat LEDs in there. You're not gonna be able to see real good with it, but what are you gonna do? It's not a bike that I'm taking out on fucking long road trips. And I do have a 320 front brake, Supermoto front brake with the bracket, and I got stainless brake lines all the way around as well. The skateboard wheels. But yeah, so I wish I filmed building this bike from the ground up. It will probably go to the grave with me. Oh, another thing, gearing. I dropped something like 16 or 17 teeth in the back of this. So theoretically, it's like a 140 mile an hour dirt bike. But resistant, wind resistant wise, you'll probably never get anywhere near that. It will probably, I'd say it's probably good for 115 miles an hour. If I had to guess, 120 if you pushed it. That's like full tuck, and you're probably ripping all your plastics off. So if you technically took the sides off and it did like a high speed run, I wouldn't be surprised if it did 120. And that's fast for a fucking dirt bike. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys want to know about it? I wanted to tell you guys about it. I actually am pretty proud of this project. I fucking love this bike, and I'm probably gonna get buried on top of it. I'll get embalmed, and I'm gonna be sitting on this fucking bike when I get buried. So I'm just gonna be sitting on it like all meat mugged, like, and I get lowered down. They're gonna fucking throw roses, and I'm gonna be like this on the fucking bike going in the grave. Mean mugging like a motherfucker. All right, that's about it. Thank you guys for listening to me ramble. I love talking about this shit. So, yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. Peace. Say goodbye. Say goodnight, boys.
Bye.
Story time is over for the day.
Goodbye.